Hello, everyone. Matthew here,
Chris here.
and we are here with another installment of our 2014 Organic Game of the Year list, where you get to see how our end of the year best top 10 list in video games evolves and grows on a month to month basis
The only list of its kind on the internet,
that we know of.
we think.
Probably.
I'm not going
I
to
don't know.
Google.
It seems such a great idea. I highly doubt we came.
I'm
up
not
with
going to
it.
Google it.
No,
I'm
because
just
that'll
gonna-
just be ignorance is bliss.
Like,
It's the only one of its kind.
Don't you know how the internet works? If I say it, it's true.
Probably.
Prove
Yeah.
me wrong.
Don't challenge people to prove you wrong.
Don't prove me wrong.
Yeah, just let us just accept it.
You know, there's a theory that that's the fastest way to find out information is to post something wrong, and then immediately someone's gonna be like, actually,
Really?
yeah.
Oh, we should do that for stuff.
It's like, oh, I don't know, like how long a mile is. A mile is 6,000 feet. Actually, it's like 5,000 something feet.
You don't actually know, do you?
It's like 5,200 feet.
All right. So the criteria for our list is it must have released in 2014.
I don't have to get extra points on geography, all right?
Geography?
Yeah.
God. Well, oh, it
Been out of
hurts.
school a long time.
So this is our criteria. It has to have released in 2014. So just like last month when I really wanted to add Rogue Legacy because it did come out on the PS4 that year,
Gave that the veto.
it got vetoed because you know what? It technically released in 2013. Same with Steamworld Dig, a game you quite enjoyed on your 3DS.
Hoisted
Came
on
out
my-
last year.
Hoisted on my own petard.
So that's criteria number one. Criteria number two is it has to be a game that we've devoted a sufficient amount of time in to that we feel like it can be justified on our list. So if there's a game that doesn't show up that you feel deserves it, like say Mario Kart 8 for the Wii U, he doesn't have a Wii U and hasn't even played it. And to me, that's a party game. I'm not playing it by myself. So unless I had a group of friends over, it wasn't getting touched. So it just hasn't had enough time. Or a game like Wolfenstein, where I just feel like that would be a game that makes the list if I had it.
I feel like I'm going to look forward to playing Wolfenstein in like 2 years.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
way after this list is relevant.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to be there, and I'm going to pick it up, and I'm going to have a really good time.
I've heard
with
nothing but good things. Like I just need to sit down and play it. But as we'll find out, especially in Chris's sake, he needs to finish stuff.
I need time.
All right, so we're gonna go through recap the list that already existed, the games that we have on the list, and then we will go into the new additions for the month.
Yeah, let's do that.
So, Bravely Default, best Final Fantasy game in years, even if it might not be a Final Fantasy in name.
Since 12.
Yeah, and even then, people discount 12 a lot.
That's crazy.
So
But whatever.
Chris will say it shits the bed in the second half. I'll say it stumbles, but I still beat it.
I will shits the bed is harsh. I will say it's unfair to force me to replay the entire game. Again.
That's fair. But in terms of being an RPG, top notch.
If you can cut the first act, the first 4 chapters, it's an amazing RPG. It's really like one of the best. It's chapters 5 through 8 that are just
rough. Infamous Second Son, probably one of the first true next-gen games that really was like, this is PS4 only. And then the inclusion of First Light DLC is pretty much guaranteed this game's spot on my list and has really lengthened the lifespan of this game and helped it stay relevant because it's hard for a game that comes out in March to survive till the end of the year. It has to be like really special, and the First Light DLC helped like keep it relevant and in my mind.
Yeah, graphically, it's the first like next gen game. It's really
all
cool.
those particle effects,
especially for the neon powers. They're really gorgeous. It plays just fine because the Infamous model is a good model to throw in.
Yeah,
like we'll talk about some other games later, but like there's engines you can put in any game that'll make it fine.
Infamous is one of them.
Infamous is one of them.
Next up, Titanfall, another one of the early March next-gen games. Not truly next-gen, but you know, it seems in people's minds it's a default next-gen game.
Yeah.
So Titanfall, it kind of slipped from my playlist quite early because I prefer games with a story or co-op, and this was competitive only, so it didn't hold my interest very long, but what I did play was highly enjoyable, and you could tell that this is going to be a franchise that has some legs to it.
Yeah, I feel like it came out like a ball of fire and then it burned out real quick because it is extremely enjoyable to play. Like it's very smooth. There's no competitive
The level design
lopsidedness.
Yeah.
The Titans are a great equalizer. The bots are a great equalizer. It just kind of faded.
Yeah.
And I'm sure people are still playing it and still enjoy it, but I
apparently not.
I feel like I haven't heard about it since like
March.
May
maybe.
Yeah.
Like March was it.
May is like the furthest.
Because May, the next major game came out, and then like everyone forgot about it. But yeah,
it's good though. I'm not to say that.
Next up, I had South Park: Stick of Truth. I'm calling it one of the best licensed games ever, if not easily in recent memory. It's like you said though, it is a licensed game, so your mileage will vary based on your level of the subject matter.
Yeah.
But it is a South Park game wrapped up in an Obsidian RPG, and it tickled all the right spots for me, and I loved it.
Like my brother, who completes one game every 3 or 4 years, fucking loves South Park and beat this game in like a week.
Yeah,
so
I got my platinum. You'll realize that multiple of these games, Infamous was the first one, and First Light, got platinums in that. Got my platinum trophy in South Park. So moving on, Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes. I enjoyed it. This was your bag. Which was surprising because I'm the Metal Gear fan.
Yeah,
you were the lukewarm Metal Gear fan.
The more I get into Metal Gear, especially thanks to the fantastic Kefka Productions on YouTube, who movieized everything. Ground Zeroes, I think it gets a lot of shit for being. It is a short game. It's basically a glorified demo disc. However, it's a really good demo disc that has a lot of content and a very fair price. I think $30 is not unreasonable for everything that's on it. I think that it's a great prelude to Peace Walker,
which you now know the story of.
Yeah. Wait, no. Yeah. What's the new game? Phantom Pain. But
Peace Walker does lead into.
That's
led from Peace Walker.
Led from Peace Walker to Phantom Pain. It does a really great job of especially for newer players to get you
acclimated.
Yes.
Okay.
But I think it's unfairly maligned.
After that, you had Strider. I had Strider last month, but it got replaced by, I believe, Shovel Knight. Got replaced by something.
Strider is a game I played a lot of, and then I didn't play, and then I forgot how to play Strider. Because Strider's very rhythm oriented, and you had to get into the flow of it, and I lost the flow completely. So I'd have to restart Strider all over again.
Yeah. For you, at least.
Yeah. It's not like an RPG I can pick up and like, yeah, those are the mechanics.
RPGs are hard for me to pick up later because I forget where I am in the story.
That's why I put Post-it notes in my games.
Yeah, that's smart.
So,
after that, cards. You had Banished.
Banished is a great sim game that I wish I could have devoted more time to. Jesus. The implementation of a dynamic weather system and food storing and population dying off to disease, it makes it extremely challenging and fun. It needs a little more because it's a little dense. Mm-hmm. It's not casual friendly. I think so.
That's fair,
but it's fine.
After that, I have Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc. I have not been able to invest the time in the sequel that came out in September enough to put it on the list, but this one was a perfect blend of Phoenix Wright meets like Virtue's Last Rewards 999 style gameplay. I just really, really enjoyed it, and I heard the second one's better in almost all regards, so I've started it. I need to just delve into it and see if I love both of them enough for them both to make it, because when's the last time two parts to the same franchise, like the original and the sequel, come out in the same year?
It's very rare.
I can't recall anything like that. Maybe DLC in the same year, like Infamous, but yeah. So
you've been raving about this for months, so
I'm excited to play the sequel and see if it makes the list. After that, I have Child of Light, which was Ubisoft's RPG Light. With a phenomenal soundtrack and art design, and it was just a lot of fun.
I have this on my PS4. I look forward to playing it at some point.
I think you'd really enjoy it.
Yeah.
Now, you have MLB The Show.
MLB The Show is fine. It looks gorgeous for the next-gen systems. It's I can't really tell a difference between it and 13 or 12. I don't think it's changed enough gameplay-wise, but it's a very pretty game. So
cool.
It's probably not going to make it to the end of the year.
Then I have Transistor, which I can guarantee you right now is a lock to survive till the end of the year. When people complain about indie games not being as good as AAA, this is the game I point them to. It's like, this, you need to play this. The art, the soundtrack, the gameplay model, the replayability of it. Like, I got a platinum in this as well. This was one. Oh, and I got a platinum in Danganronpa. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because I got one in Child of Light as well.
Mm-hmm.
I've been doing well on platinum trophies this year.
Yep.
So Transistor is a lock.
It's on my system too.
You really need to.
I have an hour into it.
Yeah, it's only like 6 hours for the first playthrough, so you can. I believe in you.
One day I'll take a day off.
Yeah. We both have Watch Dogs, another game I platinumed. This game was one of the 2 most hyped of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the other games, some people will claim it didn't live up to the hype. Some people say they really enjoyed it. I'm in the latter camp. I loved it.
I enjoyed it, but I do think it suffered a little bit from overhype. I didn't even finish the story.
I think it suffered more from, it's just another in a long line of games that I think if it had only been dedicated to current gen instead of being cross-gen.
And I think one of its other problems is the obvious comparison is Grand Theft Auto 5.
Mm-hmm.
And aside from the hacking, which is a completely new dynamic for it doesn't do anything better than Grand Theft Auto 5.
The comparison that I make is, or I've heard that I agree with most, isn't Grand Theft Auto 5. Mm-hmm. It's Assassin's Creed 1.
Yes.
The game where the concept is so sound, but it wasn't executed as well as it could be. But you know when the sequel comes out,
it's going to be polished.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard that too, and I agree with that to an extent.
And it also makes sense because it's Ubisoft.
Yeah, I look forward to Watch Dogs 2, and I'll probably definitely pick it up.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't. I had trouble with this one. I had trouble with the main protagonist. I had trouble with the driving mechanics. Yeah.
Okay.
I just didn't care for it.
You had Valiant Hearts?
I did have Valiant Hearts. Valiant Hearts is a fascinating little game that you wouldn't think would come out. It's about World War I puzzles, and
that's the beauty of indie games and downloadable titles is that you get these games. I mean, it's not an indie game because it's by Ubisoft, just like Child of Light.
Right.
So I can't really call it indie, but
it's
the two go hand in hand.
It's if indie games were to have a genre, this would be the genre.
The kind of thing that would never get a AAA release.
No, it's a great, well researched game that's I found very charming.
Okay,
it's actually one of the few games on my list that I actually finished this year.
Next up, Shovel Knight is what I added. The Kickstarter game that came out and blended Mega Man, Castlevania, and DuckTales into a charming 3DS platformer. It's also on Wii U, but I felt that kind of gameplay lent itself to portability, and absolutely loved it. The chiptune soundtrack was amazing. Everything about it was great. It was one of the first games to knock another game off my list. So Shovel Knight is that, and that brings us to the new games of the month.
Mm-hmm.
So let's jump in and talk about what got added. Two games for me got added, with 2 games that I am very close to adding, but need to spend more time with before I can justify it.
Mm-hmm.
And you have 1 game to add, which is finally going to bring your total to 10, which means the next game you add, you're going to have to make some cuts.
I can finally take MLB The Show off.
I really thought Banished would have been first.
Whichever.
Yeah. Anyway,
there's a lot of options.
So let me talk about the one that's not the one we both have.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there.
All right.
So knocking off Metal Gear Solid Ground Zeroes for me, that is no longer on my list. Joining Strider and Kirby Triple Deluxe in the didn't survive category. Middle-earth Shadow of Mordor. This game came just in at the tail end of the month. So it qualifies because it came out 2 days before the end of the month. But man, even just 6 hours. I'm way more than 6 hours now, but even 6 hours in. Our friend Zach called this months and months and months ago when he said this is going to be one of the best games of the year. And I was writing it off because there was no hype. This is from a studio no one's heard of before, really. I looked up what they'd made before, and I was like, nothing.
Yeah,
it's basically Rocksteady syndrome with Batman, and it makes sense because it's another WB game, and this game is the perfect blend of Assassin's Creed open world gameplay mechanics with the side quests and everything, with the combat cribbed directly from the Batman Arkham series. And when I mean directly, I mean it is basically the Batman system with a Lord of the Rings skin on it. From the cape stuns, to the ground takedowns, to the counters, to the build up a meter through a rhythmic button timing system and taking on a group of foes to be able to pull off execution attacks. Like, it's Batman, but like we were talking, if you're going to take your combat system from something, take it from one of the best.
It's a weird chimera of games. You know, it's got the free running of Assassin's Creed. It's got the combat of Batman. It's got the Lord of the Rings of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, it's Lord of the Rings with the best parts of Assassin's Creed and Batman taken in.
And, you know, I was kind of just like, yeah, whatever. Because I'm kind of over Middle Earth at this point.
Me too. That's why I wasn't caring. Like, we didn't even see the second Hobbit movie.
No.
But this game comes out, I'm like, oh my god.
Yep, it reminds you of all that's good in the world.
Yeah, and I mean, we did our very first Let's Play on it. It's on YouTube now, and we did a stream through Twitch, and you saw me play, and then you came in. I mean, the combat is brutal and visceral and has a really good feel to it. The executions, the stealth mechanics are done really well.
The 20 minutes you played of it was a better selling point than any trailer I'd seen.
Yeah. And then it has a nemesis system that anytime you die, you can come, and the story explains why you come back to life. Like, that is a very undersold thing I like about games, is when something like that just makes sense within the world. So everything about this game I've been enjoying so much. The progression system, the ability tech trees, the upgrades, the story, the graphics, the gameplay. Just this game, the second I played, I knew it was going to make the list. So I had to make a cut. Metal Gear was it.
That's fair.
And then the second game joining both of our lists, nothing being cut for you.
Nope.
But now coming in. And being cut for me is Titanfall, unfortunately. And when you realize what it's being replaced by, it was really no contest.
Yeah.
Destiny, coming in as the only game more hyped than Watch Dogs of this year.
Yeah, Destiny came in with lots of hype. It was coming out for every system under the sun. It was
Except Wii U.
Yeah, well, it's a game that's allegedly is going to have a 10-year life cycle.
I can believe it too.
Yeah, I mean I can see it.
I mean, considering that now we're almost 1 month in from the game's release, and the amount of content that's been added for free since release, it's ridiculous. 2 new PvP modes. And the new PvP event, Iron Banner, is going on right now. There was a 2-week new gameplay, like story bounty missions called Queen's Bounty stuff. Like, they keep adding. And what I love about this over Titanfall is the cooperative nature and the story-based nature rather than pure competitiveness. But even the competitive Crucible stuff I enjoy, because even if you lose, you're still building towards something. You have a chance to get loot drops. Like, you feel like you're working towards something, and I even feel useful because you can use your abilities and stuff, and so I don't feel as shitty as I do playing Halo style multiplayer.
It's kind of fascinating because it's a stealthy MMO FPS, and it really kind of tricks you into it just based on its on the ads and all the commercials for it. The abilities are fun. The shooting is basically just Halo 1 shooting. It's very crisp and solid. The weapon types are pretty varied. Honestly, I think it does very well. I think its biggest issue is what's not clear about the game that you had to go online to find, like the way the levels work after 20, and the story which is told mostly through downloadable grimoires.
And that I can understand taking hit on is the story way it's presented, but I'm fully confident they will fix that later on.
Story's not my big drawing point.
Plus,
in games, so.
Halo was the same way. The story was pretty minimal, and it wasn't until you went to other outside sources like the book. Everyone always talked about the Fall of Reach. And
I just reread that the other day.
I mean, I never read it, so everyone's talking about this like, oh, Master Chief's a great character, and I'm like, no, he's not. He's really boring.
Well,
but if you go outside of the games, then the world fleshed out. Maybe that's just Bungie's style. Who knows?
I think so. I think they're just determined to make a good shooter, which they do.
But they nailed the competitive multiplayer, the cooperative nature, and they're listening to fan feedback and patching things in. So things that are missing from the game people feel should be in there are coming for free.
Yeah.
And then the first major expansion hits in December.
Yeah. The worst part of any MMO is getting parties together, and they've done a really good job of setting it up so that you're never far beyond from a party, even for doing raids.
Yeah. The drop in, drop out nature, where I can just log on and see you're playing, join you, boom, I'm with you right there. It makes it a lot easier. Now, I wish there was more social aspects, like voice chat for people that aren't a friend.
I know that's coming.
But they're adding that.
The loot system needs to be...
It's already fixed.
Great.
They added that last week, so...
The loot system is a little rough.
The game's great. And so we are very happy with it, and I had no problem bumping Titanfall off for it, because between the two of them, Titanfall is the game I haven't touched since March, and Destiny is a game that I'm still playing nightly. Yep. So it's...
I've enjoyed it whenever I've gone online and played a little bit of it.
All right, so that's September. And next month is a month that we're going to have to start making some hard cuts, because they're adding a bunch of new stuff's coming out. So... And we'll see if the other two games that I need to spend some more time in make the cut. Danganronpa 2, Velocity 2X for the PS4, and Naruto Shippuden Ultimate Ninja Storm Revolution. Which, Destiny's so good, I haven't played a Naruto game. You might not know this. That's a big deal. I've platinumed every single Naruto game, and I haven't even, played more than 2 hours.
Clock's a ticking, buddy.
I know. All right. I'm Matt.
I'm Chris.
And this has been the September Organic Best of List 2014. What? Broforce. Broforce.
Caw.
Caw. Yeah.